rolling. All right, question one. Same questions I asked Zach.
Okay.
How did you develop your love for Jordans? What was the point in life where you said, this is it?
All right, so I developed my love for Jordans. I was deployed to Iraq, right? And I had a whole bunch of soldiers who, every time they would get a paycheck, they would buy a pair of J's, and they would just see these crazy numbers. Oh, these are Jordan 10s or the 8s. I had no idea what that was. So they started to educate me on which Jordans were from which numbers and which shoe go with which one. And man, I came home from Iraq, bought like 6 pair of J's, and right then is when I knew. I already had an affliction for shoes, but right then is when I knew it was over. I had completely developed a sickness for J's.
Okay. Question number 2. How far are you willing to go? I know you personally. I know how far you're willing to go. This for the people that don't know. How far are you willing to go to get the pair of J's that you really want?
Well, so I got a buddy that I went to high school with. His cousin ended up teaching English in China. So what we had him do was go to the Nike factory and see if we could get deals. So now we get deals on J's fresh out the factory, cuz they don't even have to be, listen, the same shoes that every major retailer gets, we get them fresh from the factory without the middleman. I don't have to worry about none of that.
So what was your first expensive pair and how much did they cost?
My first expensive pair of J's?
Anything, but you can't say J's with anything.
All right, so let me see. My first expensive pair of shoes, right? When the 11 Low E's came out in '96, right? Summer '96, you know, I had never had a pair of J's up to that point, and then the 11 Low E's came out. They had the elephant skin, the elephant print running up the side of it. It had these little vent holes in it. It was a summer Jordan. It's the only summer Jordan ever released. Yo, they came in white, and it was like white and gray with the icy bottoms, and then they had the black and red joints with the with the dark bottom. I bought the ones with the icy white bottom. Yo, I paid like $160 with tax. I was like, yo, this is the most I'm ever gonna spend on a pair of J's. Until the OVO 12s came out. Then I got them about 7 months before they came, 9 months before they came out. Paid a good penny for it. It wasn't as much as everybody else was paying for it, but at the time they was on, the white ones was on Flight Club for 65, and the black one was on Flight Club for 55. I had both of them. So we trying to run it up now. That's crazy, bro.
So what's the most abnormal path you've taken to get a pair of Jordans? Like, I know you haven't boarded a plane to China and gone yourself. But.
All right, so I think the craziest was when they did the retro release of the Bred 11s. I had they did a midnight. I was living in Germany at the time. They did a midnight release, and everybody was lining up, man, at like 6 o'clock in the morning at this one particular store called Snipes, downtown Kaiserslautern. And, you know, it was like 2:30. I called my sister, my German sister, who actually worked at the Snipes, and she was like, don't come down here because the line is already long. She said, yo, I'm going to call Saarbrücken because they opening up a store, but this midnight release is going to be their first release. She called them. I go out there, man, I got there probably about 11:30. My man said, yeah, we got one pair of 13s left. I go to the, they start handing out these little tickets. He was like, Jay, you don't really need a ticket, but take one anyway. Just so happened the ticket number I had was number 23. It was nuts. So had number 23. The dude in front of me goes up to the van. He's like, yo, can I get a size 13? They was like, yo, we don't have no more 13s left. So immediately I panicked. I walked up next. I'm like, yo, can I get a size 13? He said, yo, we don't have no 13s. My man looked at me. He said, oh, no, that's Sean Black. I got your pair right here. I immediately got the shoes, went back to the crib, got in the van to drive to the airport because I had a 5 o'clock flight. It was like 3 in the morning. It was like 3 in the morning, man. So and I had to fly back to America. So, you know, you got to go through customs, all that. Like, It was nuts though, bro. It was a midnight release.
So it's safe to say that you adopted a German sister into your family for a pair of Jordans.
Facts, V. Facts. Yo, she is my German sister though. My wife used to tattoo her back in the days, and then she used to just come by the house so much, I just started calling her meine deutsche Schwester, which means my German sister. And then, you know, she just happened to work at a shoe store, and I've been plugged in ever since.
Have you ever attended a sneaker convention? And if so, what was your mindset when you walked in?
I have. I couldn't be there for too long though. I went there, man. They had a sneaker con in Germany. It was on base. It was on an Air Force base, and yo, it was shoes everywhere. I walked in, everything you ever wanted was all over the place. But it was so many people. It was so overwhelming. You know, I got PTSD kind of bad, so I just couldn't stick around. I probably was there for maybe an hour, but I couldn't even focus on the shoes because it was so many people, man. It was nuts. And then people was like haggling over prices, and you know, people didn't want to pay what the shoe was worth, but then they was trying to trade. It was crazy. It was nuts, bro. That was nuts. That was nuts.
How far are you willing to go to get a pair that you really, really want?
Me, I'm a go. I'm going. If it's a pair of J's I want, actually, so there's a pair of shoes that I want, right? Not necessarily J's, but there's a pair of shoes that I want. I've been wanting them since I was like 12, and that's the Grandmama's, right? The Grandmama ones. I looked for them on eBay about 4 months ago. They still like 500 in my size. And the dude, I contacted him. Come to find out, he was fraudulent. He ain't really had the shoes. He had a good bomb picture though, but he ain't had the shoes, man. But I'm going. If I can get the shoes, if I got the means by which to acquire the shoes, I'm going to get it. Believe that. And my wife know that.
All-time favorite pair and why?
Woo! My 11 low E's, just because it was my first pair of J's. My first ever pair of J's, man. When y'all see Zach interview, he don't like that answer, I'm pretty sure. But 11 low E's, that's where I'm at.
You feel like the market is saturated with releases these days?
I do, but it's weird because I don't believe you should have to, you know what I'm saying, camp out to get a pair of J's. I wear size 13, so I know every shoe store that get J's only get one pair of 13s. You know what I mean? And then if I make it there and I see the dude, if it's one dude in front of me who wears size 13, I know I'm not getting shoes, man. So I would say it's oversaturated with releases, but at the same time, the shoe companies don't cater to people who wear oversized 12 like they cater to people who wear 12 and under. You know what I mean? If you could go get a pair, you can go, if you wear size 9, they're going to have 40 pair of shoes for you. You know what I mean? You wear size 13, they like, yo, we got one pair, that guy's got them, so, you know what I'm saying, you out of luck. Like, then I got to wait. But I don't wait for shoes no more, so I'll make a phone call. I'll have them before they come out to your store.
All right, this is one I forgot to ask Zach, but how has Nike and Michael Jordan maintained the popularity of the shoes through the years, in your opinion?
It's because of hip-hop, man. Hip-hop brought Jordan culture to the forefront, right? You had Do the Right Thing in '89 when they did Do the Right Thing, right? You had my man with the fours on, and that kind of changed everything because he mentioned the shoes by name, and they showed a clean picture of the fours, like these are cements, the OG cement fours. So when they showed the picture, everybody's like, yo, I want them shoes. But then hip hop just did a lot to push that culture forward. You had cats making songs, talking about how much they wear J's. Nelly did a whole record about wearing J's, and he mentioned every pair of J's that had ever come out. You know what I mean? So I think the popularity just stays up because people recognize the Jumpman symbol, and it's kind of iconic in hip hop culture.
Okay. Last question. You can have dinner with Tinker Hatfield, Michael Jordan, or either one, or both. At the end of the dinner, they tell you, hey, take you in the vault, you can have any shoe you want.
Oh, man.
What pair are you walking out of there with?
Me? Oh, boy, that is a really hard question, bro. First of all, what I would do is tell them every pair of 8s they got in the store, put them back in the vault, because I don't want the 8s at all. It don't matter what pair of 8. The carpet on the tongue is weird, so I don't want the 8s at all. But I don't know, bro. Like, I'd probably do a pair, like OG. It'd either be some OG 3s or some OG 4s. Like, if I did OG 4s, I'd do like the bread OG 4s, Nike Air on the back, murder in the game, huh? Killing them. Same thing with the 3s. Like, it would be bread 3s. Like, I try to see if I could finesse them out of 2 pairs, because it'd be one between 1 or 2 pairs. I got to finesse though.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
No doubt.
All right, I just need to get. How do you develop your love for Jordans? What was your life turning point where you decided you love shoes? And be as
animated as possible.
Animated and as detailed as possible. How old?
Okay. What do you want me to start with?
Wherever you want.
Well, I think it's a loaded question.
Okay.
Because for me, there was a turning point where sneakers became an obsession. And then there was a point where sneakers were something I just had to have. So I think the crossover happened, the Concord 11s were the very first time they dropped. I had watched Michael Jordan drop a lot of points on my team. I'm a Knicks fan, so watching this man do this in these shoes it was a love-hate relationship with him. But those sneakers, to me, they looked like nothing I had ever seen before. And I had liked Nikes and Reeboks, and I had pumps, I had all these kind of cool shoes, but the 11s really took it to another level for me. So then I started doing some research, and this whole world of, it's like Star Wars toys, where these shoes became like one of one, and they were amazing to look at and amazing to own and totally too expensive for me to have. So as a 13-year-old, my mother and I made a deal. And for Christmas and Hanukkah, I was gonna get 1 pair of shoes. And it was the 11s. And I used to wear them every day at school. I thought who I was. I would walk around with my chest bumped out, like, check these out. People like, oh, those are great. And I'd be like, yeah, I know. I'd take them home, take the toothbrush, clean them up every day. But I would say from 13, the next period of time was, I was about 22, 23. You know, I didn't come from a big family, a wealthy family at all. So there were a lot of shoes that I couldn't get as a teenager that I vowed as soon as I was able to make some money, I would buy them again so I would have the shoes when I was a kid. And that turned into, 5 pairs that I got, and then 5 pairs turned into 20. 20 pairs turned into 35, plus a special edition sneaker box to keep them in. And it grew from there.
All right, what was your first pair of expensive Jordan? Like really, you don't even have to stick to Jordan's shoes.
Okay.
Like what was your first pair of really expensive shoes?
So, when I was in Boy Scouts, I was nominated for an award called the Good Turn Award. I had collected groceries and canned goods for the homeless. So they took all the people who won, so I won this award, and they took everyone to a Yankee game, and it was sponsored by Reebok, one of the major sponsors. So they had asked what I wanted from Reebok, any pair of sneakers you could want, any pair of clothing, anything that they made. And the Reebok pumps had just dropped, and they were extremely expensive. So, why would I go around, Sean? Yeah. Why would I do that? So they asked me what would I want? And I basically stated I wanted Reebok pumps. I wanted the pumps I saw in the commercial. And my parents told them that he wanted pumps. And they were like, well, those aren't out yet. We were not selling them yet. We can't give them to you. And I threw a fit, and they came back and said, all right, we'll give you a pair of Reebok pumps. So I was one of the first kids that got Reebok pumps, and they were, I don't know, $150. But the most expensive shoes I've ever purchased were a pair of Prada sneakers, black on blacks. I'd seen someone wearing them, and I was like, oh, those are really cool. I looked them up. Oh my God, they're Pradas. So my girlfriend, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, split the purchase. She put her whole paycheck towards them. We went down to the Prada store, tried them on, bought them, and for the next, I would say, 2 years, I couldn't live it down that she had purchased with her whole paycheck a pair of sneakers for $565. And from that point on, I don't think there was any shoe that was out of my reach at that point that I knew this was a sickness. That it was something I had to quell, and the only way to quell it was to buy more shoes.
Okay. Real quick, off the top of your head, most expensive pair you own right now?
Those Pradas.
Still got them?
The Pradas, still have them.
Yeah.
In the box, I've worn them 3 times.
Yeah.
Anytime I wear them in public.
Okay.
The Pradas, anytime I wear them in public, I bring a bag. They came with a special bag to carry them.
Really?
So I'll wear other shoes, and then when I get to where I'm going, whether it's a function or I'm showing up to an event, I'll sit down somewhere, whether it's a bathroom or a car, change out of the shoes real quick, put on the Pradas, and wear them. I will not let those touch concrete.
Okay. How far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to go
man.
to indulge the sickness?
Well, pretty far. I would have to say pretty far. I could tell you stories of waiting for shoes to drop Thanksgiving weekend or the week of Black Friday, and I would drag my wife in the car, wait outside for 2 days, sitting there in the car, have snacks, have everything already prepared for the day they come out, and then be online in the rain, in the snow, sitting there for 2 full days, making sure that I was one of the lucky few to get them. So I've traveled across state lines to buy sneakers. I have, like I said, waited outside in the elements for sneakers. I have met random people on Craigslist to see what they had as far as sneakers. I've been in very, very, very bad neighborhoods and situations with people I probably normally wouldn't be in just to buy sneakers. I was on duty on the ship. I was in the Navy 5.5 years. In my time in the Navy, I had bought lots of shoes, but there were a couple of times where I would have to stop, watch, have somebody take over for me so that I could go meet somebody outside base to go buy shoes. And then I got in a little trouble for it, but it was totally worth it.
That actually led to my next question, so we don't have to go through that one. It was like, what's the most abnormal route you've taken?
Oh, yeah, that story, yeah.
Yeah, you haven't flown to China or anything.
No, I haven't flown to China, but when I was stationed on an aircraft carrier, I took time on derelict of duty to go pick up shoes from some random dude I met on the internet. So yes, there have been very weird situations that I picked up shoes.
Now, I've talked to you before about this tons of time. Tell me about sneaker conventions, a little bit about, tell me about what the thought process, what goes into it, and where your mindset is when you're going to one of those things.
Sneaker conventions are their own animal. We have seen, I never go anywhere without my wife when we do sneaker stuff. It's just good to have a backup, and it's good to have another person who knows what they're talking about when it comes to shoes. So sneaker conventions are like, you know, the plains of Africa's trade route, or like the Israeli markets, or something where there's just pandemonium, there's just people everywhere, people walking with like sneaker boxes on top of their heads through seas of people, 15-year-olds arguing with like 60-year-old dudes about prices for shoes that you never even heard of, shoes with like teddy bear heads on them and crazy stuff where, you know, there are no rules, you police yourselves. It's just like taking a bunch of people who are really into Star Wars and putting them all in a room and having them discuss and talk nothing but Star Wars. But we're just talking about footwear here. So a lot of people don't understand why would you have all this convention and pay $30 to get in to go to a place where you're just talking about shoes when you can walk into a Foot Locker or a store like this and buy them. It's an experience. It's like going to a Comic-Con. It's the same thing except it involves Jordans. It feels as though you are one of the lucky few who got the ability and the privilege to go with other people who are like you, who have the same obsession that you do, and get to talk shop for, you know, hours and hours. And they have giveaways and people that are there that'll show you new cleaning products and new shoes that haven't even come out yet from other countries. It's an amazing experience.
Favorite pair of J's and why?
Like all time?
All time.
All time, huh? Favorite pair of J's? I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for saying this, but what were the pair with the gators on them? that came off and they had the silver underneath. Okay, they had them. They came out in black, they came out in white, and they came out in wheat. Were they 17s or 15s?
I think that was 15.
Okay, just for the record, I'm not sure if they're 17s or 15s. We're gonna edit that out because I don't want to come off as uneducated. Right. But there were a pair of 15s. There were Jordan 15s that I had wanted since they had come out, and Christmas had passed. So you know my deal with my family: you get one pair for Christmas and Hanukkah, and that's it. Well, I had already gotten my pair, and my mother chastised me and told me you weren't getting them, you're not getting them. So I fell into this funk, and then one day they just showed up in my house. We love you. It's not your birthday, it's not Christmas, here are these shoes. And they were these wheat-colored 15s. And they had like this magnetic strip on the side that like took this outer gaiter off the shoe and revealed this like silver undertone underneath. It was like glittery silver, and it was just the most odd pair. I only wear Jordans that are black, red, or white. Those are the only Jordans I wear. I don't wear blue Jordans, I don't wear green Jordans, I wear normal colored Jordans, Chicago Bull colors. These were the first pair of Jordans that weren't the traditional color, and they just stood out. They looked like Timberland and Jordan had made a shoe and combined to make this wonderful, like, all-weather sneaker that was just pretty. And I was the only one in my school that had them. People were like, oh my God, look at those J's. What kind of J's? Are those even J's? What kind of J's are those? Man, I was the talk of 7th grade for the longest time. And to this day, I have never found them again. I can only see them used, and people want like $400 for them, and I'm not willing to drop $400 on a pair of shoes that somebody else wore. But they struck me in such a way that they were the most like independent looking Jordans I had ever seen. And yeah, those wheat 15s were my favorite.
Oh, they good.
You good? You good? Was that too long-winded? I can do that again. Okay.
Let's see. You feel like the market is oversaturated? Like there's too many releases, too little releases? Like what do you feel about the way the Jordans are put out today?
I think 8 to 10 years ago, the market was a bubble. It hadn't bursted yet, or it hadn't burst at that point yet. And shoes were still coming out in limited quantities. The releases were 4 or 5 times a year. It was a normal schedule. So you could easily, as a sneaker fan or a sneakerhead, you could prepare yourself to get your money together, to sit outside, to wait for shoes. It was a normal schedule. You could plan your life around this. Now, I think the sneaker companies, Jordan Brand and Nike and these big sneaker brands have like caught on to this. And they've realized that this is a very big market. And with anything else, what better way to make more money than to oversaturate the market? So I think nowadays you're seeing releases come out every 2 weeks, every 3 months. You know, you're getting a new shoe and then another shoe. You're getting a new shoe and then another shoe and then another shoe, and then it comes out in a girl's color only and then a kid's color only, so that the rarity is something that you have to have a set amount for. So if a shoe came out that had 1,500 pairs only, and they would release it as like what we call a quick strike release, it would come out for a week and then that's it. That develops want, and want develops the price. So if I can tell you there's only 5 pairs of something, the intrinsic value of that's going to go up to the people who want it. But if I'm telling you could have Jordan in any color you want 15 times a year, you can go out and buy Jordans and everyone's got them, then what's the value anymore? And I think that's the problem. Yes, the market is oversaturated now. Yes, there are more and more Jordans coming out every day to allow more people to go out and get them. Yes, it's preventing people from like stampeding stores and like beating people up or, God forbid, killing people over shoes. But that has a dual reaction, which is every week there's a new pair of Jordans. So like the rarity of it has gone away, and now no one really cares as much anymore.
Last question. If you could have dinner with the man himself, Michael Jordan, Tinker Hatfield, at the end of this dinner, they told you can have any pair you want. You can come on through. At the end of this dinner, you come on. At the end of this dinner, they told you can have any pair you want. They take you in a room. Every shoe that's ever been made by the two, developed, is in that room. What pair would you pick?
Why you gotta ask me such hard questions? If I had to pick any sneaker, did it have to be designed by Tinker Hatfield?
No.
You know, this is going to be a really soft answer.
Okay.
But I never, ever was able to get an original pair of Olympic 6s. And I always wanted, see, people look at me like I'm crazy, but Olympic 6s were always, and I hate 6s. I think 6s are whack. You can ask anybody, 6s, 7s are great, 8s are great, 5s are good, 4s are good. Hate 6s. They make no sense. Plus, they don't really got a Jordan logo on them. That Jumpman logo is like really hard to find on that shoe, so I don't like it. You can't really tell it's a Jordan. However, the Olympic 6s did something to me inside of me that I was like, man, I would probably get a good job. I would probably meet the girl of my dreams if I was wearing these sneakers. I always wanted them. I really wanted them. Nevertheless, I say that to say this. If I got to sit down with Tinker, Mr. Hatfield, and MJ, and they were like, hey, you can pick whatever shoe you want, I would definitely be like, let me get a pair of them Olympic 6s in a size 10. They better be dead stock. That would be my follow-up question, was make sure if they were dead stock or not, because I don't want him giving me any variants. And then I'd be really pissed off, got to go home after dinner with Jordan and Tinker, and I got a pair of fake Jordans. But yes, Olympic 6s, definitely.
All right, cool.